Hello, family. Thanks for tuning in. This is Yochanan, aka Swan, with Back to the Basics with Swan. So, yesterday I talked about how things were so different and so much better when before modern technology. And if you have any comments or you want to tune in, I'm live. And I am at DATV Studios. It's public access studios. And DATV teaches you a lot. They teach it. They teach the community. Anyone who wants to become a member, anyone can become a member. They teach us how to operate video cameras, to be for producer to be a producer. They teach us production, directing, and also podcasting and a lot of other blogs, a lot of others. So anyway, I'm here at DATV with Back to the Basics with Swan. So today I'm going to challenge you as I challenged you yesterday. What are some basic things, and you could leave a comment, what are some things that you used to do that you found very helpful and beneficial to yourself as well as your family before modern technology? Not before, because a lot of us weren't born before radio, a lot of us weren't born before television, but after radio, television, when the first computer was invented and became available, what are some of the things that you noticed were very beneficial and very helpful versus modern day activities and modern day living? Of course, we do need some technology. Some technology has been beneficial, but me personally, I found that modern technology, as far as television programming, media, and social media, I have found it to be very, I found it to be very not productive and very negative in a negative form, not beneficial to society as well as to our children. It has its perks, but the downside is has been, more prevalent. The cons have been more prevalent than the pros. So, with modern technology, we are not getting out more, and we are not thinking more. We're not using our brains more. For an example, you are constantly, when you're driving or when you're walking, this is what we see. And I know you see this as well. Even we're in the stores, we see this. And this is people on the cell phone. Or you may not see this, but with a lot of the youth and young adults, you do see this because a lot of times they're doing FaceTime, not FaceTime, they're doing selfies. I went to Liberia, Africa, and I saw a lot of the young ladies. They were doing this. They were posing, they were taking selfies, and they were more in tune to taking selfies than their daily act. That was their daily activity. That was the extent of their daily activity. And so we see this now when we're in the stores, when we're driving our cars. I've noticed quite a few times, even when I was on the road as an over the road truck driver, when I would go into the city, I'd stop at a traffic light, I'd see, you know, kids walking across the street or people walking across the street, not paying attention to the traffic light that just turned green. And mind you, I'm in a big truck, big 18-wheeler truck. So, no, I'm not going to run over them. But you can flash your lights, they don't see. But the truck has an air horn. You can use the city horn. You're not supposed to use the air horn in the city because it could cause someone to have an accident, like an elderly person. It could surprise them. It could scare them. But anyway, it's a good tool to use to capture someone's attention, because if you notice that on the cell phone, when we're on the cell phones, when we're looking at media on the cell phones, we are not in tune with what's going on around us. We're not aware of our surroundings. We're more interested or more attentive to what's going on that phone and what's going on. We're looking at YouTube videos, not just YouTube videos. I like YouTube. But we're looking at videos on TikTok. We're looking at videos on Instagram. And we're laughing. I like to laugh. Laughter is good for the soul. We're laughing at some of the content. We're looking at some of the negative content that, we're looking at, like, wow, I wouldn't do that out in public. Wow, if I saw my child doing that out in public, what would I do? Of course, my children are grown, but if I saw them on social media doing something, then, I would say something to them. Of course, you have the opportunity to block someone from your social media page. If they don't like your content, you can block them. So where does it end? It's about respect and morals. We should have morals and values. You used to could call your child up and say, hey, I don't care if they're an adult. Or you could go and visit them. Hey, I don't like what I saw, or I don't like what you're doing. I don't like what you're representing. You have a right to say what you don't like as a parent. If a child is grown, they have a right to tell you, how they feel. But back when I was growing up, children were respectful. My children were respectful. They respected adults. They respected their some of their peers, people older than them. They respected them. Children nowadays have no respect. And this starts at as young as 5, 6, 4 years old. You tell a child to do something now and it's not your child, they'll look at you like, well, you don't tell me what to do. You're not my mother. I've even had one who I stopped from doing something that was dangerous. And I grabbed her hand and she hit me, because I was trying to stop her from doing something that was dangerous. And she hit me and I spanked her hand. No, that wasn't my child, but it doesn't, we need to go back to tradition and back to our basics, back to how we were rearing up our children, teaching children manners. A child doesn't hit an adult. If you hit me, I don't care if you are a child, I'm going to hit you back. I'm not going to punch you, but I'm going to spank your hand. I don't care if you're not my child, because your parents should have taught you better than that. Your parents should have taught you to respect people who are older than you, adults. So, for a child to say, look at you as if you're their equal, they don't look at, hey, that's an adult. I'm not going to hit that person. They look at you as you're just like them. So if you did something that they didn't like, they'll hit you. That's unacceptable. So what I'm saying to you parents, let's go back to the basics. And some of the basics. Modern technology is good, but when we let our children, the computers and games take over, it's taking over their minds and it's dumbing them down. And I apologize, I forgot to silence my phone before I went on air. So if you hear a telephone ringing, it's mine. But I'm going to step away from the camera for a minute and I'm going to turn my telephone off. So pardon me. So pardon me for the brief interruption. I should have done this before I even got on air, but I didn't. So, silly me. People always seem to call you when you're busy doing something. No one calls when you're not doing anything. But the moment you do something, you're doing something, then everybody wants to call you. And of course, you have the unwanted calls, the spam calls, which that's probably what that was. Okay, so now I've turned my phone off, and I am back. Thank you for tuning in. So, I encourage you and I challenge you, tell your children and you yourself, not just your children. I'm not just getting on children. It starts at home. It starts with us, with me. Okay? I have a thing when we eat dinner together, when my grown adult children come over to my house and we have dinner and they bring their children, my grandchildren. I have a thing where we eat together because me and my children, we always ate together. We sat down at the table and ate together. No, no electronic devices are allowed at the dinner table. Now, I'll tell you now that my children, they don't practice that. They let their children bring their tablets to the table, talk on the phone. I didn't teach them that, but I can't tell them what to do. But when they're at my house, I have a rule. We all eat at the table together. No electronic devices are allowed at the dinner table. I've also instituted a thing that me and my children used to do. We had talks at the dinner table, whether we're eating breakfast, dinner, lunch, or dinner. We had talks. Find out something about your sibling or about someone in the family that you don't know anything about. Ask them a question that you didn't know that you would like to know. Ask them a question. Now, don't ask them a personal question. Obviously, don't ask them that. But ask them something. How was your day today? What did you do today? What did you do to help someone today? What did you do to plant a positive seed today? And that could be anything. My grandson, I have a grandson who's 16 years old. And so he goes out with me when I feed the homeless. Not just him, I have a 19-year-old who has accompanied me feeding the homeless. And my other grandson, he's 24, he'll be 25 this year. And his sister, she will be 22 this year. They've gone with me to and watched me feed the homeless and assisted me feeding the homeless. Well, anyway, my 16-year-old was riding with me one day, and he had some money in his hand. At this time, he was only 14 years old. This was 2 years ago. He had some money in his hand, and he saw a man on the street with a sign, that obviously he needed some help. So my grandson said, Mimi, can I give him some money? And I said, is that what you feel like you should do? He said, yes, I feel like I should give him some money. I said, okay. Well, we pulled over to the side, and he gave the man some money. And it was his last, and he gave it to him. And he said, can I give him all of it? I said, if that's what you're led to do. And he gave it all to him. So that was a seed that I planted a long time ago, and he saw that. And he wanted to do something good for someone in need. I remember years ago when my children were little, my daughters, their father, he went out for Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas, but back then, he went all out for Christmas, and he bought them. They had two of the same thing, two of the same toys. In other words, they had double. They had more than what they needed. So I encouraged them to donate and give some of the toys away. They didn't like it. So we backed up the toys that they had duplications of. We backed them up, and we took them down to the Hope House, which was in Middletown, Ohio. It was for men and women. Excuse me. But now it's just for men. But when it was for men or women, we took it down to the Hope House, and they gave their toys to the children at the homeless shelter. And it made them feel so good afterwards. They were mad at first because they were 5 and 7 and they didn't understand. Those were their toys. They didn't care if they had two of the same thing. They didn't want to give away their toys. But when they gave those toys to those children who were in that homeless shelter, and the children hugged them, and the effect that it had on those children, my daughters were happy, and they asked, could they do it again? And they talked about it the entire day. So, as I was talking about at the dinner table, we talk about things like, well, how was your day today? And then the first person to ask the question to the person that they asked that answered the question, then it goes to that person, and they're to ask someone different, another person, not the person that asked them that question. They're supposed to ask the question, and we go all around the table, from the adults to the children, and it doesn't matter it's not any specific order, and we ask questions. And then at the end, by the time we're finished eating our dinner, I ask everyone, what did you learn today? What did you learn today? And they repeat what they learned. Well, I learned that so-and-so's favorite color is green. Well, I learned that so-and-so has a best friend at school. Well, I learned that so-and-so is allergic to shellfish. So, well, I learned that you know how to speak Spanish. And so this is instilled in them. So now they're learning something about their sibling or about their cousin or about their parent or about their grandmother. They're learning things. And this is all productive. This is all positive. Then we have a movie night. When the grandkids come over with their parents, we have movie night. And so the adults are allowed to choose a movie, but everyone has to agree on that movie. So we vote. And then the children are allowed to choose a movie. And all the children have to agree on that movie. So they vote. And we have popcorn. And we have candy. So I encourage you to do these things. I started walking the neighborhood with my adult grandchildren. I walked them around my neighborhood so they could know they were aware of my neighborhood. They knew where they were if they wanted to take a walk, because they lived in Middletown, Ohio, and they didn't live in the same city that I lived in. So I encouraged them to walk around and learn my neighborhood. So when they're over to my house, they don't have to stay secluded in the house. Of course, there's a lot of things to do in the house, but they can go outside and explore and learn the neighborhood and meet people. I encourage you, I challenge you to do something that's traditional, something basic. I challenge you to go and visit someone today. Someone that you haven't visited in a while, that you can just pick up the cell phone and call them. I challenge you to teach your children a Bible verse today, your grandchildren a Bible verse today. You learn a Bible verse today, memorize a Bible verse today. I always talk about how the goodness of Yahweh, our Creator. I have to mention Him. I can't go a day without mentioning Him, because it is because of Him that I'm here. So now, even today, we are not in shape. We're not physically fit. We're obese. Me, I can say that. I'm obese. I'm not physically fit. I started out going to the gym, but I've missed 2 weeks. But I'm going to get back on. I'm going to get back on track. Go outside, walk the walk the bike trails and the pathways on the river. The river banks, the rivers always have walkways and bike trails. Go out in nature. Do a hiking exercise. Take your family with you or take a friend with you. Go back to the basics. Teach your grandchild how to play hopscotch, dodgeball, things of that nature, and reprogram them to use their mind. We only use a portion of our brain. Most of the time, it's the right side of our brain. We need to use all of our brain. Read a book. Read a book. Read a book. 4 to 5 books a month. 2 books a month. They don't have to be big books. But feed your brain to regenerate those brain cells. So that's my time for today. I'll see you tomorrow. I hope you tune in tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in to Back to the Basics with Swan.